Have you guys ever been physically disciplined by your parents? Did you suffer from any unwanted feelings such as anger, shame, disgust, or fear? Physical punishment is a serious health issue in the United States, not only because it affects the mental health of children, but it affects our society as well. Evidence has shown that 65% of adults actually approve of physical punishment, while 50% actually use physical punishment, to discipline their children. Physical punishment may cause a child to have unwanted feelings such as distress, anger, fear, shame, and disgust. Many of you are probably thinking about starting a family in the future, or perhaps have a family right now, and you might want to consider different methods to discipline your children, since physical punishment is a public health issue and it can be stopped. As a psychology major, I have learned and researched on this topic. So first I will discuss how physical discipline can affect your children. Children who are physically disciplined tend to generate negative effects as they grow older. Usually when parents use physical punishment against their children when they're very young, it usually they're more likely to have behavior problems. Research has also shown that children who are physically disciplined um, are more likely to become hitters themselves, such as bullies or future abusers of their children and spouse. Also, according to APSAA website, in 2013, physical punishment is associated with increases in delinquency, antisocial behavior, and aggression in children, and decreases in the quality of a parent-child relationship, children's mental health, and children's capacity to internalize social behavior. A lot of the times, this punishment will only temporarily prevent the child's bad behavior, but after a while, it will come back. Additionally, Sandra K. Cicerelli and Nolan White, in their textbook published in 2008, assert that physical punishment can send the wrong message to a child, and that might cause the child to learn other behaviors, such as the child trying to avoid the punisher instead of the behavior. It can encourage lying to avoid the punishment. It can create fear, anxiety, and other emotional response that do not promote learning. And it provides a successful model for aggression. So now that you are aware of how physical discipline can affect your children, I will now inform you of why parents choose to use physical discipline in the first place. Parents who hit their children usually do it to get them to do what they want. But according to Valia Telep from Virginia State University in her 2009 publication, she infers that parents who hit their children rather than using other discipline methods usually say that nothing else works, or you gotta let the kids know who's boss, they asked for it, or I was spanked and I turned out okay. But there are other reasons why parents spank their children, and they usually deny it, such as they getting mad at their husband or wife and they take it out on their children. They are angry and they don't stop to think of better ways to discipline the child, or they don't know how to discipline more effectively. It can also relieve their feelings of frustration, or they might think it's easier, quicker, and it requires less thinking than other disciplinary methods. So now that you are aware of why parents physically abuse their children, I will now begin to discuss some positive alternatives to discipline your child. There are so many different alternatives to discipline your child, which doesn't have to be physical. According to Sandra K. Cicerelli and Nola White, in their textbook published in 2008, there are two kinds of punishment. Punishment by application, which is physical punishment, and punishment by removal, which is when you remove something very desirable from the child in order to get them to do what you want, such as taking away their television privileges or taking away a specific toy that they really like. Um, you can also use positive reinforcement, which is reinforcement of a response by the addition or experiencing of a pleasurable stimulus, such as rewarding a child for doing their homework and letting them watch television. Um, Also, in 2013, the APSA website assert that there are many alternatives in which provide you with great understanding of their children's development, which can also lead to less aggressive behavior, such as promoting words instead of actions, setting good examples for the children, using discipline as learning, and helping the child label their fear. So today I have first discussed what the negative effects of are when children are physically punished. Second, I have discussed why parents use physical punishment as their only method. And finally, I have discussed some positive alternatives to discipline your child. And hopefully you have been persuaded to not physically punish your child, whether they're your siblings or your own children. And when you do decide to use physical punishment, just ask yourself these questions. Why do I use physical punishment as the only way to discipline my child? Does it work? And how did I feel when I was spanked as a child?